If you're a remote worker physically within New York State or city, you are covered by the state and or city's employment and labor laws, regardless of whether your employer is physically located within the state. So if you live and work in New York City remotely for a company based in California, you're covered by New York City and New York State employment and labor laws. This includes overtime laws, minimum wage laws, and anti-discrimination and retaliation laws. Second, if you're a remote worker outside of New York, but your company is based within New York, whether or not you're covered by New York's anti-discrimination laws depends on what's called the New York Impact Test. Basically, it depends on the type of work you're doing and whether that work impacts people who live in New York City. If the type of work you're doing impacts people who live in New York City or New York State, then you're covered by the city or state's anti-discrimination laws. But if the work you're doing does not impact these people, you may not be covered. Third, these laws differ than the laws in other states covering jurisdiction. For example, in New Jersey, if you're an out-of-state remote worker for a company based in New Jersey, you're covered by New Jersey's anti-discrimination laws, regardless of whether the work you do impacts people who live in New Jersey. In other words, New Jersey does not use an impact test like New York does. The bottom line is if you're a remote worker in or outside of New York and you feel that your rights are being violated, you should contact a New York lawyer today to find out what your rights are.